Welcome to the Traveling Professors. I'm Professor Bob.
And I'm Professor Sheri.
And together we are
the Traveling Professors.
Today, Sheri and I are going to take you on a walking tour of Arles. As we usually do when we travel into a town, we check and then we begin walking the area. And that's what we're going to do here. Because we were really here in Arles to see the Roman Arena, the Roman Theater, the baths, and of course the Van Gogh material. But there is a lot more here that we really needed more time. I would say if you're going to come to Arles, 3 days if you're going to stay here would probably allow you to see everything. And at the end I'll talk about what we did not get to see. So let's go to the map and arrive. I'm going to show you on this map what we plan to do. This is Arles. This is Old Arles. Now we came in at the train station, which is right up here. And let me tell you, this is the shortest walk to a hotel. It's really only took us about 6 to 8 minutes to walk from the train station through the old Roman gate of Augustus to where our hotel was located. And of course, after we settled in, we decided to walk and just check out everything because we planned the next day to visit the amphitheater and the Van Gogh exhibit and other places. So we had a whole list of things to do. So let me show you the area that we're going to be seeing. It's going to encompass it. So we're going to go down the river area to the bridge. Then we're going to head this direction. And if we continued all the way around, we actually ended up going inside and looking at all these different things. But if you'd gone down the street here and then up and back to the entrance, that area encompasses the original Roman city. There is a little bit of the Roman city over on the other side of the river. But we're basically in the old Roman town. And it really has a small town feel. And you can also get lost really quickly as well. Here's the main entrance into the town. These are the two towers left from the Roman Augustinian wall. And you walk in about 20 feet, and there's our hotel, Maison Vauvert. And here is our nice bedroom. It does not have a very good, shall we say, view. The parking lot outside. But it was obviously close. It was only about 4 blocks from the arena, and we were able to walk the whole city anytime we wanted to from here very easily. And it was 113 euros a night. Now here's the nice tourist map that the hotel gives you. So we're going to go back out the gates there, and we're going to go up and see this little spot that deals with Van Gogh. So there's the back side of the gates as we're heading out to the little parking area. And then you see this building. Now they have a whole series of these all over the city, and Sheri and I did not see all of them, but we'll show you the ones that we found. It's called the Van Gogh Walk. Here is a portrait that was painted by Van Gogh, and I'm going to do a whole show on Van Gogh and Arles here later on. There's a painting of this building, and here's a closer view of the building, La Maison Jaune, the yellow house. Now here is a closer picture of the building today. If you notice, something's missing, and that is the house that he lived in. It is now an area that is now a covered cafe. So this Maison Jaune did not survive. This was our first attraction. Here's a map that shows the Van Gogh Walk, where you can find the different little pylons with the pictures by the area that he actually painted. I just assumed I would find one in Arles. We did not find them in Arles. I found this map online after we'd gone to another city. I didn't bother to look in advance, and the result is I made a mistake. So we were up here at the spot where they have the Maison Jaune, and now we're going to walk down by the river. And my assumption was we would then run into another pylon that showed where he painted one of the Starry Nights. There are actually 2. There's the one that everybody remembers. It looks like a psychological nightmare. And then there's one that's kind of a representation of the town. Well, I thought we would find it. We didn't. The reason is, when we came back, we walked down to here and then walked over to get to the river. And basically what we had done is walked by the spot where he painted the picture. If we'd have just gone from where we are at the original yellow house and just gone straight over, unfortunately, that was when the middle school was letting out, and that's probably the reason we didn't do that. We would have walked by it. So we didn't see it, but we searched for it the whole time. Almost walked across the river to see if it was on the other side. So always do some searching on the web before you head off to a city if you're looking for a specialty tour. So here's our direction where we're going to go down the river. So we're going to go all the way down to the bridge. So the river area is very, very beautiful. And of course, the river is very important to Arles because that's why it became very powerful. because during the civil war between Julius Caesar and Pompey, the city of Marseille, which was one of the most powerful cities at the time, Marsala, they went with Pompey. Arles went with Julius Caesar, and their little naval area built all the ships that he needed to help him to be successful. As a result, Marsala lost land and prestige, and it was given to Arles, which is why we have all of this Roman material here in the city. And quite frankly, the Arles Arena is one of the first copies of the Colosseum outside of Italy. So it's beautiful along the riverbank, and it's very large because this does indeed go out in the Mediterranean. So here's the walkway, and we're walking up on top of the levee. And then here we are where the wall of the Roman wall is located, and that's where further down you'd see where the entrance was to the city. So it's a beautiful view along the river. There were several river cruise ships that were docked. There were some people, there's a group of people having lunch. And as we walked along, we came by lots of different buildings. You can see where some of the buildings have been incorporated into the old wall, such as here. And then we walked by another parking lot. Behind it is the Baths of Constantine, the Thermae, as they refer to it, which we'll take on our own separate tour of it later. And it was really hard to find once you got into the city because you keep looking for an entrance, but the entrance is all the way around right here. So it takes a little while to find it. And then we come up to the bridge. And so we have to go up on top of the bridge and get a picture, the prerequisite requirement of all bridges and rivers, a river shot. So that's our little walk along the riverbank. Now Sheri and I are not going to get lost, but we're going to wander around in this particular area right in here because we're looking for the Van Gogh Museum. And we thought we'd also get a chance to see the other side of the Thermae and then, of course, head towards the amphitheater. So here we are going down the bridge, taking into the flat area. And so we then turn left, go down this nice narrow streets. Now remember, look at this one building right here. They have the street signs are up almost on the second story. So you have to look up. And sometimes the streets change name at every block. And we continue going down what I believe is the right route. And then once we get to the end of this street, we take a little right-hand turn, and there it is. There's the Van Gogh Foundation. Now, Laura Owen's art is about 90% of this museum, but they have some Van Gogh works and some others in there as well. But we're going to see that in a separate show as well. And then there's a close-up of the fountain, which are all of these hoses from your garden, which is quite unique. So we then head down the street a little bit further. We'll end up finding out that this building over here on the right side is the back side of the Thermae, and you can see the kind of Roman construction. And you have to go down to where the darkened entrance is and turn left, and then you get back to the levee, and then you can go see it. So now we're going to head towards what we think is the arena, because the next road is the Rue de Arena. But we have a surprise when we get to the central area. Our surprise is the Van Gogh restaurant. We come out on a little square where there are all these restaurants, and you see this picture. It has the restaurant there, the yellow painting of the building. Now, I've seen various travel shows that will say that you almost always have to have a reservation, and I was concerned about that. But as you can see, in the off-season, that's not true. We're there during the lunch hour, and you can see the little plaque in front of the restaurant showing the painting that Van Gogh did of this, where he ate frequently. So, of course, Sheri, an impressionist lover, we have to have lunch here. So here's Sheri with her food in front of her. As you can tell, she is having a wonderful time. And I had just a general salad and nearly foundered me. Look at it has all this different stuff on it. It was really, really nice. And then here's some of the pictures of everybody else eating at the restaurant. We had a psychiatrist and his wife sat next to us, and they'd been to Saint-Remy, which is where Van Gogh had been in a mental institution where he'd painted almost 150 paintings. And so Sheri, the psychologist, and he had a nice conversation about Van Gogh. So now it's off to try and find the arena again. Here's our final route. So we left from the restaurant and headed down this direction, where we will end up at one of the main squares, where you have one of the city halls, you have the Church of Saint Trophime, and you have the Egyptian obelisk from Luxor. Then we will leave there and head to the amphitheater. It's getting kind of dark and there's a lot of cloud cover, so we went in the back side, just took some pictures of the back side of it. And then we'll head to the amphitheater. We'll go around the amphitheater and then go down this street back to our hotel, where we'll rest for a little while and then go out and see if we can find something to eat. Heading down the street, we finally come to what is known as Republic Square. Now, in Republic Square, you have the Church of Saint Trophime, you have the Town Hall, and you also have a lapidary museum, and then you see this. This is a gigantic 10.28 meter high Egyptian obelisk. It's from Luxor. Here's a picture of Luxor. They have lots of those, and the Romans and everybody else keep carrying them off, putting them all over in cities all over their empire. It was found actually in an excavation under the old circus, and then they moved it and put it in here. And it has the beautiful fountains with the lions all the way around it, which is very, very nice. There's a nice close-up shot of the lion. But of course, obelisks are pretty difficult to take a picture of. On one side of the Republic Square is the great Church of Saint Trophime. Now, it's actually built on the site of the St. Etienne's Basilica, which was actually a Carolingian church, and has been transformed during the 11th, 12th, and 15th centuries. But one of the most important parts of this church is its beautiful doorway. But there's two historical events that occur in this building. One is Frederick Barbarossa, the Holy Roman Emperor, is crowned the Holy Roman Emperor here in 1178. We may remember him from the Third Crusade when he was leading the huge army from the Germans along with the French king and Richard the Lionhearted, and he drowns along the way. The other event is Yolande of Aragon married Louis II of Anjou in 1389. So it's quite an important historical place. But let's look at the wonderful doorway. Now, this doorway and arch is one of the greatest examples of what is known as Provençal Romanesque art. And its theme is the Last Judgment, which is not really that uncommon. The entrance is crowned by a trypanum in the form of a triumphal arch, the Roman influence, representing Christ in glory, surrounded by symbols of the four evangelists and framed by richly carved friezes. So let's look at a little closer shot of this now. But let's look at the main characters. Here we have St. Bartholomew, and next to him is St. James the Less, and next to him is St. Trophime. Then here's the central theme where you have the Last Judgment and you have the four evangelists around Christ. And then here's a close-up of the other side. And those from right to left are St. Philip, St. James the Greater, the martyrdom of St. Etienne. And look at the entrance to the church, how that's been worn down by people over the centuries walking on it. And then when you go inside, here is some of the relics that you find. And then look at the magnificent altar. The altar is Christ down from the cross, which is a very unique altarpiece. And you get closer to it, and you can see all of the statues and the body of Christ being laid on the tomb. So St. Trophime, if you're not planning on seeing the church, you need to see the church. I wish we'd spent more time there. It's one of those cases where I calculated, 2 days, 2 nights, and thought that would take all what we wanted to see, and it did. But we needed another night to spend in Arles. Another place that we missed that's associated with St. Trophime and the church is the Alanskon. It's a cemetery that the Greeks and the Romans created, and the Christians were then buried in it in the 3rd and 4th century. And it was consecrated by St. Trophime. There's an interesting story, and as he was blessing it, Christ appeared, and when he knelt down to accept the blessing, he left a knee mark in a stone. But the other thing is, there's a legend that says that Roland of the Chanson de Roland was brought here to be buried with 12 of his peers in the cemetery as well. So there's always some of this interesting legendary stuff that is going on. After leaving Republic Square, we then head towards the amphitheater, and here we are walking up towards the church, and you can see the arena in front of us. The amphitheater is off to the left, behind the wall. And then here's a shot of it. It was closed when we were there, so all I could get was just this picture of it from behind, which is fine because that's a whole show as well. So we're turning away from the amphitheater, and there is the arena. Now, the arena would have been at least one more level higher. A lot of the building was torn down to build other things, and during the Middle Ages, actually during the Dark Ages, people turned it into a fort and built houses in it to protect themselves for quite some time. So we just walked around to one side, and you can see that it sits lower than the surrounding area, which is not unusual. And then you have all of these entrances into the arena. It was a system that was created when they built the Colosseum, and I'll talk about that when I do the arena in some detail. You could move lots of people in, but in an emergency, you could get lots of people out. So they have gates and things that are locked because they use this for various events. During the day when you're just going to tour it, they only have one open. So here is the opening where you go in with your ticket. Actually, and I've got a ticket for all the museums in the city. Here's a little aerial shot of it from up above on one of the tickets that I had. And then here we are at the steps that lead up to it, to the entry. And so we took some shots all the way around it, but we'll spend a lot of time on it for its own special thing. And I would point out, too, that when Arles built this, it made the people of Nîmes jealous. They were so jealous of Arles Colosseum, if you will, or their arena, that they basically forced some of their richest people to put up the money so they could build one, too, and they built a little bigger one. So once we were finished here, we just simply turned completely around, walked down the street a couple of blocks, and headed back to our hotel. So we hope that you enjoyed this little trip through Arles, just wandering around. Sheri and I hope you enjoyed the tour. Please come by our YouTube channel at Bob Packett, and please subscribe and leave some comments. Thank you very much. I've been doing podcasting on history for over 15 years. I've got over 4,000 shows, and I've done CDs, which of course can be sent out as USBs. So if you would really like to get more on history for free, then come by my website, as you see here, historyaccordingtobob.com, and see what's there. So thank you very much again.